Recording is on.
Okay, please, in case if the network kicks me out and I did not notice it because of the screen I'm working with, please notify me in the WhatsApp. Even though notify me in WhatsApp. All right, we we will begin with data preparation. Now, the objective here is I want to learn the foundational steps and tools used in Excel to clean, transform, and organize raw data to ensure accuracy, consistency, and readiness for analysis. By default, your data is usually messy. I've said it over and over again. You cannot get a data that is ready for analysis. Such data, if it is available, somebody must have worked on it. But your raw data are usually filled with a lot of inconsistencies and missing values, uh, duplicates, outliers, and so many others. So in this particular session, we want to see how you can prepare your data and make it ready for analysis. So before we begin to talk about data analysis, you need to talk about data preparation. So we should be able to prepare our data and make it ready for analysis. So this lesson will guide you through how Excel can be used not just to view data but to prepare it effectively for analysis. Uh, it builds on basic Excel skills, so it's recommended that learners complete foundational Excel lesson beforehand. So we're trying to say that part of what will be using in this part of the course is what we have done before in the introduction to Excel. That's the beginner's part. So now what is data preparation? It refers to the process of doing these three things: cleaning, transforming, and organizing data. What is cleaning? Cleaning is about removing errors and inconsistencies. So identifying the error in your data and then remove them, and then any inconsistency you try to correct them. Example of inconsistency is when you have in a state or in a country column and you see some records is containing USA and some is containing United States. That is inconsistent. So you need to correct it. Choose either USA or United States. Then transform data, that is modify the structure or the format of your data, like maybe splitting columns. For instance, I want to split the address column to be able to get location and city, state, country, postal code. Sometimes the address column can contain all of these at once. So, but you can decide to split it. So that is data transformation. Just example of data transformation. Then organizing data like sorting and categorizing for clarity. So sometimes you will need to sort your data in order to be able to analyze what you want to analyze. So this step is important because it ensures accuracy and quality in your analysis. If you not do good data cleaning, you cannot, that is data preparation, you will not be able to get positive results in your analysis. Also, it prevents misleading results. Of course, like I've said, good results, good data preparation, good results. As they say, garbage in, garbage out. Now, it reduces surprises during later analytical work. So, uh, if you do a good data preparation, when you encounter some outliers, you will know that these ones I purposely left it because of one or two things. So you will not be surprised when you see some strange stuffs in your data. So data preparation, in fact, in the first place, it helps you to understand your data. So when you understand your data, it will avoid surprises. Now it supports efficient workflows. Yeah. So just like chef prepares ingredient before cooking, analyst must prepare data before analyzing. So you can just use this analogy that in the case of laundry, they collect dirty clothes, but in the case of data, we import raw data, which is usually dirty, like I've said, usually a messy data. Then the laundry person will sort the clothes by type. In this case, you are sorting and filtering your data. And then the laundry person can just choose a particular place to work on, and that is they wash the clothes. But in this case, you are defining correct formats and data types. The laundry person will wash and dry, while you will clean by removing duplicates, fix errors, and all that. So the next step is we want to look at the steps in data preparation. The steps in data preparation, you need to sort and filter files. Even though these steps are not static, along the line we get to know that it depends on what you want to achieve, but just understand that they are relatively the same. Sometimes you may not start with sorting and filtering. So, but as we move on, you will understand which way is the best. Of course, like I've said before, the lesson is following data camp curriculum. So now, so you can use Excel to sort and filter your data. It will help you to view specific section of the data. Focus only on relevant entries. So, for instance, there was a project I collaborated with some other persons in data science to work on the analysis and prediction of terrorism in Nigeria. And at first, the target was to work on uh, prediction of crime, but unfortunately, we couldn't find a crime data set. And then we were able, but before then, I've worked on another project that has to do on world terrorism. So, and I had a data set for it. So, what we did was to get that world terrorism data set and filtered it to extract only the one for Nigeria records. So, that is a good example of where your filtering becomes your first step. So, you filtered because you need specific section of your data. In this case, we were looking for Nigerian terrorism. So we filtered to get only Nigerian records. So some other case you may not need to filter first. Okay, imagine when you in that Nigeria there is inconsistency. Some of the record is appearing as Nigeria and some of them is appearing as Nigerian. You know, maybe two or three different inconsistencies. So if you do something like that with the way the data is, you will not get what you want. Because if you use a particular spelling, you only get the records that align or correspond to that spelling. Other ones, you will lose them. So in that case, now you need to solve that problem of inconsistency before you forge ahead. So that is where your where sorting may not be your first step. Now, we also need to set data format and types. The date column need to be correctly set. You know, there's a way you record your date, it will appear as text. You need to use your tool, like Excel in this case, to make Excel to know that this record, this particular column is date. Otherwise, you will not be able to do a good visualization with it. Then the part that has to do with currency, let's say the a column that is talking about price. Now, if that price is just numbers, 50,000, 20,000, 80,000, 100,000, just like that, or Anointed, say you can't hear me. I don't know. Can others hear me? Please indicate if you can hear me. Hello, please indicate if you can hear me. Hello. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much. Oh, okay, she's even out already. Okay. Mm, it's all right. Maybe of course, maybe she can get the recording and follow along. So now, sorry, here's my note. So you may need to also format your that is your currency column so that the values you're having on that price will be recognized as currency and not just numbers. And then the number column, sometimes your number may appear as text, you need to format it correctly. And then when it comes to date, your date can take different formats. So you need to ensure that the date is having exactly the same format all through. Imagine when some of them is appearing as day, month, year, and another one is appearing as month, day, year. So you need to correct that inconsistency in the date formatting. So these are part of the things we do. Now, and then the next step is now to do what you can now call cleaning of the data. That is removing duplicate. When you talk of cleaning, that means you are removing something. So you remove duplicates, you correct inconsistencies, like I've explained. You have in USA and United States, their inconsistency. So then filling missing values. You will have missing value most cases where you may not know uh, what and what is missing. So there are steps, there are strategies that you can use to fill those missing value. There are many of them, but we just start with few. Along the line, as you progress, you get to know more techniques for filling missing values. Now, you may need to now check data quality, review the data set for outliers or incorrect entries using some charts or formulas. Now, you can use formulas like is blank, count if, or conditional formatting to identify anomalies to see if there are empty cells and all that. So you can now summarize the data using stuff like pivot table, aggregation function like sum, average, count, sorting, grouping by category and all that. So these are tools that help you to summarize your data. When you have large volume of data, it will not make so much sense without summary. So pivots, tables, aggregation function helps you to summarize your data and then sorting and grouping. So now we want to quickly look at one of the exercises. Okay, okay, we're not there yet, sorry. So now what we're gathering raw data. Now gathering raw data can be, excuse me please, let me just respond to. Okay, so now of course before you talk about cleaning data, you must have gotten the data. So for you to get data, you can do manual entry, which is usually tedious, is now recommended for large data sets. Now, but if there is already existing data set, you can import them as CSV or TXT or from web or Excel files. I think we have done a little of this before. Now, you can also import from external sources like your SQL server databases. That is SQL server, I mean by databases, and then APIs. There are other advanced options as well. So, data that is already in tabular format import faster and easier to prepare. So, most of the data you're working with should or always in a tabular form, and most of those data that is not in tabular form, once you upload them in Excel through the right uh, pattern, it will quickly format the data in table for you. For instance, if you remember in introduction to data analysis, we talked about structured and unstructured data and semi-structured. Semi-structured data like JSON file, uh, XML, and so on and so forth. So if you import such data, Excel will help you, or your Power BI will help you to format it in tabular format. Is that okay? Now, the next thing also is to remove duplicates. Remove duplicates. Now, when you are having double entry, it makes no sense. It's not going to give you accurate result in your analysis. So you need to remove those double entry. Imagine, for instance, in a school like UNN, you see two students having two, or let me say in a record, you see two record of students with the same range number. You should know that is a duplicate. So it gives you inaccurate total and averages or counts of your record. So you can remove duplicates by going to data tab and then click remove duplicates. That is, if you come to somewhere like this, I have an Excel file here. Let me come to a product. If I go to data tab now, and under the data tools, I will see remove duplicate. If I click on it, it will clear every duplicate for me. But before then, you may want to know the duplicates that you have, whether they are much. You can go to home and then go to conditional formatting. You go to highlight cells rows. From there, you go down, you see duplicate values. If you click on it, it will request what do you want to get. Is it duplicate or unique? Here we want duplicate. And then how do you want it to appear? You want it to appear light red with dark red text. That's what you are seeing here now. So if I click OK, you see it has highlighted them for me. So all of this place is seen as a duplicate. But most often you don't readily see your duplicate clearly if you highlight multiple columns. The best way to do it is to locate a primary key. Okay, I don't know whether, okay, we have not talked about primary key. You would have understood. Okay, now primary key is a unique key, is a unique identifier which is usually never empty, is non-null and is unique. It uniquely identify each record, so meaning that there's no two record that will have the same primary key. So in this data set now that we have 1_4 series filling, the primary key is the product ID. Product ID. So let me undo and then use only the product column to check uh, the duplicate. So if I go to conditional formatting under the home tab, I go to highlight sales rule and I go down, I see duplicate values. I click on it. So if click OK, it will simply highlight the things that are duplicate. But at the moment, we can't find any duplicate here from what we have here. there is no duplicate. So nothing was highlighted. So meaning there is no duplicate. So there's no record that contain, there's no multiple record that have the same product ID, which makes it not a duplicate. So always check for duplicate before running calculation or creating